Live. Welcome to Monday morning. This is a stream, so the very first part of this will be us figuring out if the stream is working. Then I'm going to do an introduction to the Reinventing the Tattoo Network, and then we'll get right into our show, which is special. Today we have special guest Gunnar, and he's been tattooing and painting for a long time, technically too old to die young. Anyways, that's not the point. Thank you very much for tuning in live. It is, holy shit, September 4th, and I already swore to put a mark on YouTube. Sorry about that, but this is the Tattoo Weekly, a show about tattoo news, events, with special artists and guests. I'm Gabe Ripley, joined by Fawn and Lauren to host this show. And as I was saying, if this is working for you, please let us know in the comments. And if enough people start commenting, we're going to start giving away things to tattooers. Let us know where you're beaming in from and or tag a friend who's interested in tattoos. If you're watching the podcast, share it around. Okay, I'm going to officially start. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where tattoo artists, collectors, apprentices, and the curious are all encouraged to join into these live streams, to meet us at real-world events, to share, inspire each other, and ultimately to create better art and tattoos together. We're beaming out 4 or 5 days a week, and we're becoming a quality network of tattoo shows with your help. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo in these fine places, either of the app stores, Apple or Google. Do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo on YouTube. Do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo. There is a Roku channel. You guessed it. Search for Reinventing the Tattoo. There's 12 to 15 channels going at any given time on the Roku, including the drunk critique. Appropriate disclaimers so everyone was drunk. Point is, you could go to all the major podcast directories, Apple, Spotify, and all of these shows automatically show up the next day on the podcast. Just do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo. Now, if you want to find the one main source for everything reinventing, you guessed it, reinventingthetattoo.com. And there is a free newsletter. There's a couple of free courses. They don't teach you how to tattoo for free there, of course. But there's some awesome history courses, both recent history in the last 100 years. Jay Brown from the Northwest Tattoo Museum has an awesome course he put a lot of time into. Every apprentice, everybody really should be going through it. It's pretty awesome. And then there's a prehistory class in there. There's a whole bunch of free stuff. But then the subscribers that get Reinventing Evolution or the Canon or the Monday class are really actually the heartbeat that would support all of these shows. In any event, go to reinventingthetattoo.com. There's links and for the schedules for all of the live shows. Some of them you could join in. And let's see, pick one. I already picked one of those. Plug the last show. Earlier today was the Drawing for Tattooers, hosted by James Wisdom every Monday morning at 9 a.m. With special guest Kyle Olson. He had a lot to say. I got to beam in for a little bit of it. And like I said, if you go to the reinventing.com, if you click on the events, there's the whole mess of schedule. There's the Reinventing group with Jason Leeser. There's Drawing for Tattooers. Let's Talk About Feelings with Robbie Ripple, the Tattoo Collecting 101, Thursday with Fawn. Let's see. Let me plug our sponsors pretty quickly here, and then we can get on with the show. I'm pretty excited. WorldTattooEvents.com is the most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. Okay, this is going. Sorry, you would have told me if it wasn't working. Okay, it's the most comprehensive worldwide convention list. I know I tried to copy it like 10 years ago, and after 3 days, I was like, Alex has, he has enough time on his hands to make sure that we're all kept up to date with a tremendous amount of tattoo convention information that's out there, and it seems like they're going in full swing. So worldtattooevents.com, then tattoonow.com. I do computer stuff for tattooers, not just software. We also have documentation to help you run your business or get a bank loan for a business plan or whatever, and weekly roundtable meetings, which are awesome, tattoonow.com. Then Guy Aitchison, of course, is the founder of Reinventing the Tattoo and the Spirit, the reason why we all are here, able to, again, share with each other, inspire each other, and do better tattoos together. So definitely go to guyaitchison.com and Reinventing the Tattoo. Leave positive reviews on the channels. That helps us get the word out. If you'd like to host a Reinventing event at your convention or sponsor the community, you could email us at reinventingthetattoo.com. Constructive criticism. Anyways, okay. I'm going to click this off. Welcome our hosts. Take a breath. And welcome, Fawn and Lauren. How are you?
Doing good, actually. Nice. That was not too long. We're under 5 minutes, so nice job today.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And yeah, so everybody, we could post up comments here real quick. Just one last one. Woo.
Lauren
And
G.
hey, so
Streams
let
are
us
working.
know. Like I said, you have to let us know it's working for you. But anyways, let's. How you guys doing Monday morning?
It's nice and early Monday morning. Good day to Joseph Floor. I'm glad that you're here. I'm getting ready to do quite the travel the next week and a half. So I was telling Fawn about that yesterday. Just tomorrow's schedule will be pretty packed. Going from Chicago to London to Berlin and back through Paris to New York, and then LA. So, you know, yeah, I'm really
Awesome.
excited. I was looking at the Berlin Tattoo Convention coming up next weekend and the Golden State Tattoo Expo. So there's a lot of tattooers I've never seen actually tattooing. So I'm really looking forward. Like I'd mentioned, Elliot Kohak would be really exciting to see work and how he does things. So, yeah.
Yeah, Berlin's fun. I love Berlin. The the whole city is just well, I don't know about the whole city. The parts of the city that I went to a couple of times were awesome. My first time was in 1992, and I was hitchhiking through through Berlin on the way to Eastern Europe. It was just after the wall fell, but it was a lot of fun. In any event, it was amazing to see the changes. I went there a couple years ago with Marcus. Yeah, you're gonna love it, and it's gonna be a fun show for sure.
Yes, so if you guys are watching and you'll be attending either Factory Day for Cheyenne or the Berlin Tattoo Convention, just either drop a comment or let me know if someone you follow is there that you'd like us to check out. Because it's always cool kind of having the ability to do that in person because so many tattooers you just never really get the chance to see, especially internationally. So many tattooers you've looked up to or seen their work for years. And now's the opportunity. Yeah, so Fawn, how's it going?
Pretty good. I'm just kind of like getting into the swing of things. I went on a little road trip with my mom yesterday, so I'm a little road worn. Um, but we had I think a pretty informative episode last week on Tattoo Collecting 101. I accidentally spent the day researching some ingredients to some typical like skincare. So you get to hear me like go on this huge half-hour long spiel about my thoughts on aftercare products and a few of the ingredients in them. Uh, and then after that, we got to sit in on Ben getting tattooed by Maddie, one of our other Red Tree artists. She's joined us on several episodes, so I think it was actually a pretty good and informative episode, like a whole bunch of like knowledge dump at the beginning and then a whole bunch of tattoo process throughout. So um, if you have time to sit and chill and listen with us, I think we had a pretty good episode last week. But
It's always fun to see the advancements in the technology you're always making there, and going with the stage and then the back and the screen in the background, and um, yeah, it's fun. And then the on location. It's yeah, it's fun.
yeah,
Well, hey, we do have.
I was on the
Sorry.
road. Oh, sorry. I
Yeah.
was going to say I was on the road. Kyle was holding down the fort, working all the equipment and setting things up. So Kyle's been
Awesome.
pretty integral in keeping the things running smoothly on Thursdays.
Awesome.
So
Kyle the Apprentice.
the apprentice, no longer the apprentice hopeful. I love bragging on him about that, picking his brain about what projects he's working on. So it's pretty exciting to see.
Awesome, sweet. Well, we have Gunnar in the wings here. Let's click him in here, and Gunnar, thanks for joining us. It looks beautiful out there.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me. Yeah, I didn't. It was too nice to stay inside, so since I since I could use my
awesome,
phone, I decided to come outside. So,
perfect.
yeah,
And you've been hitting the. I mean, you're no stranger to the video shows, so I feel kind of funny introducing or reintroducing. There's plenty of videos that people can check out, but I think I've known you as long as almost anybody in the tattoo world, right from back in the dark side days in the mid '90s. But we'll talk
yeah,
about that a little bit later. So in any event, Gunnar, want to introduce yourself briefly, and then we could start the discussion. Get some questions rolling.
yeah. So for the many people out there who don't know me, because I've been doing this really long time, and a lot of this industry is super new. I started tattooing back around the mid to late '90s in Connecticut, and then moved out to Ohio. I worked with Derb over, who now owns Red Tree, at Stained Skin back in the '90s, early 2000s. Now, and then I started my own studio, and then I got like lucky because I got known for doing this like new school art, and my career really took off from there. And then I did some painting around that time, and then ended up doing some album art for a band that did really well, um, which skyrocketed my career. And then, yeah, and then I just been painting and making tattoos ever since. So
And,
that's about it.
and traveling, what are some of? I'll ask one more question, and then I'll let Lauren and Fung ask some. But so, what are some of the various places in the last? Was it 2 decades, 3 decades almost that you've been tattooing and painting?
Like travel wise, like where have I been to or lived?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I moved I think I've worked, man, I don't even know now. Probably like 20 something shops I've probably worked at over the course of my career. I started in Connecticut, then moved to Ohio, lived in California for a while. I've worked at some awesome shops, like I worked at Dark Side, which was a big shop for kind of the East Coast new school movement back in the like late '90s. And then I went and worked at Stained Skin, which was filled with a lot of heavy hitters came out of that place. Derb, Phil Holt, um,
Ah,
Hoffa, Art Fink on Instagram.
hmm.
I mean, was a bunch of people came through that shop. I can't even recall everybody right now, but and then I went out and worked out in San Diego for a minute at Guru, um, which is an awesome shop out there.
Okay.
Back when Adam Hathorn and Aaron Delavedova still had it back then. But so I was out there. I lived all over Southern California. I have like really bad wanderlust, and I get bored easy. So I need like I mean, even it shows in every aspect of my life, from like the chaos of me moving all the time to every time, like all my art is constantly changing. It's like I don't just fix in on a style and like dig in for 20 years. It's been like today I'm going to do landscapes, tomorrow I'm going to do something else. Like, so I just like to explore. I think So and then I moved out to. Sorry about that. There's a plane or something overhead. Then I moved out
Reality
to
TV.
yeah. Then I moved back to Ohio for a bit, and then I moved back to California, and then to Boston. I worked up in Boston for a bit, and now I'm back in Connecticut. So yeah, a little bit all over the place.
Haha, awesome.
Yeah, I remember it would have been 2000, let's see, 14, I believe you were doing a guest spot at Red Tree when it was still at the old location. That was the first time I'd seen you work in person, just kind of lingering and saying like, whoa, this is just a different level than anything I'd experienced.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a fun place to work. That was a good back when it was like Adam and me and
Yep.
like Rich Cook and Kevin Stress were there. Yeah, a lot of good guys came through there too.
Awesome.
Those were the years that I was still getting worked on by Adam, and I can't describe how many hours I spent staring at the one painting of yours where it's like the jungle scene with the frog and the computer. You
Oh
guys know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Yep.
That one, I feel like I could probably almost repaint that just because of the hours spent like getting lost into that painting while I was getting worked on. I love how you build your atmospheres and how you build your landscapes, like focusing on landscapes myself. I love that, that's never a forgotten element of your paintings. Like your characters stand out on their own, but the background tells so much more of the story as well.
Yeah, I mean, I, if I had the inclination, I probably would have been a landscape artist, but um, it just like I said, I dive into so many things, but I do really enjoy it, and I feel like they can have their own character. They really do set the stage. I like it like art is like storytelling, so it's like if you were making a movie, like the costuming matters, the background or set design matters, like all the little elements you include matter. So, so I couldn't like negate like the landscapes from the work I do. It's just too much of an integral part. But,
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I feel like I love the new school characters, but I love that you juxtapose these like beautifully rendered, exaggerations and caricatures, people and characters, with just on point, beautiful backgrounds. You follow all the classic rules when you're building these wonderful landscapes and cityscapes, but then you have so much fun when it comes to building your characters. And I love that, all the work you've put in, jumping into all the different styles of painting throughout the years. Like you can see it all shine and it just pushes your own style that much further, you know?
thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that like to me has always been, that was the hard part with like I said, I got real successful for doing like these little creepy kids back when I first started tattooing, and it was like it probably would have been easy to just lock into that and just do those forever, like and been able to make some type of career off of it. But like the thing I find about like art, and I don't share this, a lot of people don't share this opinion with me. I know a lot of artists that really just want to hone the one thing they do. Like, I mean, that's become a big thing in tattooing right now, where everybody wanted to have like, that's my style, that's what I'm known for, that's all I do. And like to me, the exploration process is huge, because you don't like, it's like, Gabe kind of made the joke that I'm too old to be young or whatever, that what, like we're getting older, but as an artist, your career is you can basically do it till the day you die. So I don't know if I mean, I could be just seriously at the, halfway through my career right now. And if I just like limited myself to, this is what I'm going to do for 50 years of creating art or whatever, it's like, I wouldn't even know what potential I truly had throughout my career, because I would have like locked into something and I could have been the best at like whatever that particular thing is, but there might be something like that I still have yet to create that is really going to be like, where I'm like, oh my God, this is what it's all been about. Like, so I always look at like every aspect of art as like your stepping stone to whatever you're going to create in the future. And not knowing what that might even be, what that element might be. So it's like, how do I just get really good at what I'm doing right now and focus on that? Like right now I'm doing a bunch of cavern paintings. They're just caverns. Like I was like, I'm going to make caverns, but I'm learning how to paint rocks, I mean, everything is about like just focusing on a particular detail. And then I'll bring that element into a new thing. So like this, like series was this dystopian series. It felt relevant at the time. Like, I mean, everybody can kind of feel it in the air right now, that it just feels heavy for people. And so I kind of wanted to address that artistically. But in the paintings, there's like a little symbol of hope in there, because I don't think this is like forever lasting. I think we're just stuck in a moment right now. But even in there, it's like I just was trying to address like creating facial like it was more like I want to create facial emotions, and I wanted to create like heaviness in the atmosphere itself, and like let each piece tell a story. But I don't like I'm not going to do dystopian paintings the rest of my career. Like it's just a section of my career. So I think there's something important to like just continued growth, and for me that's like the exploration process.
Yeah, I have a question kind of, because I've watched you on various like personal videos on social media over the last couple years, I'd say, probably maybe even 3 years. I'm curious because you've been a witness to what would normally either break or create artists, over the last 20 some years, maybe even close to 30 years. How does that feel to you as you're kind of expressing yourself through these different paintings and different, like you said, the keyword relevance? And how does that compare to, when you started to now? How are your feelings and connectivity through your art? Because it's...
What's so fun? Like, so this year's been was a super weird year for me. I'm actually in Connecticut helping my family this year. And it's like you can set plans in motion where you're like, oh, that's my, it's funny. I just talked with Jason about this. You get set plans in motion where you're like, oh, I'm going to, what's your 5-year plan? And you have this idea what your plan is going to be. And then life happens and it gets side railed. And I've had a lot of, like living the way I do, I've had a lot of life, a lot of ups and downs. And so when I came out here, like I was expecting to work and be able to tattoo right away, and it just didn't happen. Like I couldn't, I'm still trying to find like a comfortable like studio position here. Um, and and it took me forever to get licensed. So I wasn't tattooing. So I'm like, well, I got to do something. So I'm like, I'm going to dig into my painting. And what could have been like a really bad thing, because there was no money, like, when I'm painting, it's like, I only make money if they sell. So it's like, you're really just hustling, trying to create, hoping something gets bought along the way or whatever. But the beauty is when there was like no expectation for me of like, are people going to buy am I making like a marketable product right now? It was more like, I just need to like create right now. I was able to focus more on my stuff, like what I wanted to make. I wasn't trying to like, the hardest part for me in tattooing is I found like over the last 10 years of my career, I was like continually being molded by the market, because, I would do something and maybe there was no like audience for it. So it's like, well, I'm only gonna, if I don't make a tattoo, I don't fucking pay my bills, right? So then I gotta like, what do people want right now? So then I have to like divert my direction and kind of create something, hoping that they would want it. And it was hard because I do custom art and stuff, but I do niche. My stuff's pretty niche. So I've always, I had to like, for a while, I was like kind of lost in the world of tattooing. Like I didn't know my direction anymore. And so when I was able to step away from tattooing, which I thought this was going to be a really bad thing, but it was like honestly ended up being a good thing, because I just focused on like, what do I want to make? Like, if there's not a sale at the end of the day, what kind of art am I going to create? And because of that, I feel like my art this year has probably grown more than it has the last decade beforehand. Because before I was like trying to appease a bunch of different audiences, and I never knew what my voice was. And so this time I got to kind of like sit down and like hone my voice again, which can happen in in tattooing. And you're seeing it now where, like people get frustrated. Right now it's probably you're in the winter season of tattooing, right? Like all of a sudden everybody's having cancellations and they get freaked out a little bit about their money. And so all of a sudden they're like, what do I have to do to pay the bills right now? And the hardest part is when you're creative for a living, like we're essentially prostitutes at a particular times in our careers. Like we're selling ourselves to we're selling that product, right? And so sometimes we have to forfeit. You see this happen with musicians all the time. You see it happen with movie directors. You need to make a product to make your bills, but you're forfeiting your vision to other people because that's what's going to pay the bills. And so a lot of times the artist gets lost in the creative process. And I know for certain, I've watched this happen on social media the last 10 years, how many artists have diverted their path to stay relevant with what was hip in the world of tattooing. And so we might not ever get to experience what the greatest art out there ever could have been, because that artist went so far off track and became a slave to a paycheck. And that cost them their creativity along the way. Like, it's not to say they weren't making good art, but they weren't making art that was pure to them. So for me, this was like an awesome experience, because it's been like financially, it's been the hardest time of my life, but artistically, it's been like the most rewarding time of my life, because I'm like, fuck it, man, I'm just going to make art. Like, I just love making art. That's what and it's the best test I've ever had, because if you ever want to know how much you really love something, don't make money off of it and just keep doing, like, so I was like, I'm showing up every day. Like I'm working, 12 to 14 hour days painting or do whatever projects I happen to be working on. And I'm just dug in and making art because I love the process of making art. And I have like, I'm not even showing stuff daily anymore. I gave up on trying to keep up with these algorithms. So like, I'll drop a painting when the painting's done. Like, I'm not trying to like make a painting a day to keep up anymore. I've just given up on that. And now I'm like, fuck it, man, I'm going back to what I loved about, because that's what built my career in the first place. Like, it was like all that passion and just digging in and like just wanting to make art for the love of art, and not because it's going to get seen, or because I tried playing that game. I tried keeping up with what was happening in the world, and I couldn't do it. Like, it was beating me down mentally. It's a psychological fuck up trying to like compete with the world of social media. And so,
I did like
anyways,
though that you brought it full center and you were really organic and raw about your feelings with it. That was cool. What would you say to artists that like that's all they've known? Like the last 10 years, it's all been that social media. They might not even really have the perspective or awareness, you know.
And it's hard. And maybe I don't know if that's, there's there's a scene. I keep bringing this up because I find it to be one of the like most relevant scenes ever, especially nowadays, because you keep seeing all these people that are like, oh look, the world's finally waking up. There's a scene in the movie The Matrix where the guy's like, there's one guy and he's like, dude, I just want to be put back in the Matrix. Like, I just want to be replugged in because the ignorance was bliss. Like, I just want to enjoy steaks at a restaurant or whatever the hell it was, And I feel like maybe for them, there's a difference, I think, between like a 20-year artist who's seen these changes and had to adapt to them as to people that were, it's like that Bane, like they were born in the darkness. Like, we're merely adapting, it's that like that idea. And so some of them might be so used to it. That's all, because that is all they know. And for some of I feel like there's the like you're watching seasoned artists, I think, are struggling the most. Maybe I could be wrong, but I know that there's seasoned artists out there that are struggling to try and stay relevant. The kids are better than ever now. And you're not just competing on a local level anymore. You're like competing on a global level. So it's not like when I came up, it was like, I was able to throw stuff in magazines once every 3 months. I would send a package of pictures to, I wasn't on there every day. I was like, here goes my stack of pictures once every 3 months to all the magazines. Hopefully they'll print something. But in reality, I was just in competition with whatever was happening in the state of Connecticut, because there was like, back then there was like maybe 10 shops or something. So that was your like real competition for the most part. And now it's like you're being compared to an artist from Europe who might have like, they're around art. Like America fucking hates art. Like we are not like a culturally intelligent like country. And you look at some of these other countries where these, some of these people are more ingrained in the culture of art and they've been getting it since they were a kid. And now you're trying to compete with, somebody who's got like this, like, education in Russian historical masterpiece painting. And you're like some kid just trying to make it out of like middle of nowhere, Iowa or whatever. And you're trying to compare, and your clients are coming in, showing you the photos of this work. And then are like, hey, can you do that? And I mean, that's really heavy. That's a heavy competition to have. And so I don't know. I feel for kids, and I don't know if I think because the competition is there, and it's not like, as much as people talk about the tattoo community, we're not a community. Like we don't really, in some regards, we're supportive of each other, but really we're a competitive community, and not in a healthy way. Like the amount of like people I see dog other people's styles. Like I like all like styles of tattooing because I just appreciate art in general. But like we tear down, like this style's dumb, this technique is dumb, this person's an idiot. It's like we're constantly tearing each other down as a community. You would think like as artists, we would want to build each other up because we're basically, it's like us versus everything else in society. I mean, that's how it should, to some degree, should be. It's like we should be trying to like support each other more. And so, it's like we're stuck in this like massive base of competition, unhealthy competition with each other. And it just was made way more unhealthy by social media. And you have people and like you said, you have people who've only known that world. Like, so they never even really got to enjoy like a whole, like, I mean, not that there was ever like a heavy community sense because shops have always kind of been at battle with each other to some degree. You might have, even if you like work at a shop, you could like the minute you leave, everybody's like, fuck that dude, like glad they're down the street, fucking asshole, So it's not like there's ever been this like, it's like everybody's like, yeah, tattoo community. And it's like, that's a fucking, it's a myth. It's not to be a prick about it, but it's a myth. Like, because, if you were like, if people were so supportive, they would be on like, rather than supporting fucking what The Rock is doing, they'd be on their friends page, like every fucking picture they liked, cheesing them up like, hey man, you're fucking, like you guys are the best, or it's like, and instead it's like, someone tell me I'm good. Please, just someone tell me I'm good, because I need to feel relevant in the world today. And I don't know, maybe there's going to be a shift in the future. Maybe people will get, they'll rebel against it the way they do every other generation. Like maybe the next generation that comes up is like, how do they fucking live like that? Like that looks like madness. And they become the hope, because they realize it's all fucking nonsense. Like,
Yeah, I do always hear a fair amount of people complaining, like, I can't get myself, traction in the algorithms, or I'm trying and I'm not supposed to do this. And, I have a coworker who doesn't seem to care and he doesn't post at all. And, he's just as busy as I am. Part of it's like, if you're going to the social media to get business, like it works for some people, but like, that's not what it's designed for. It's designed to keep us into it and scrolling. And yeah, so as far as like, I guess to your point, like sometimes just like getting your artwork out on the streets, when was the last time you put your posters out with really cool artwork, at the coffee
yeah,
shops, or hosted a, client appreciation party. Although in COVID, I guess right now I wouldn't necessarily be like aiming to jam a lot of people. I mean, whatever, in a room, but still, please come to the convention. But no, anyways, I was just thinking that there's still people, the FOMO is scientifically driven. That's like what the scientists are thinking every day when they go to work at Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. And there is a whole world outside of social media that exists, and that people don't have to engage in it. On the other hand, I can't wait to make clips of this and see if anybody reacts. Please like, share,
yeah.
subscribe.
Well, social media. I mean, as a whole, it's such a funny thing because, especially, I think it's the weirdest thing for creatives, and I complain about social. It's like a double-edged sword or whatever. Because, I mean, I complain about it all the time, but then I feel like fuck. Because I'm isolated. All that, like, it's just me in my
Mhm.
studio, and it's really like, like my sister will come over and she's like, you gotta get off your phone and go talk to a human. And I'm like, well, this has been my only window to the outside world. It's like, and she's totally right. It's the fucking most unhealthy thing. But what's crazy to me about social media is I just had like one of my things go viral, right? And it's only because I played along with the fucking system. Like because I'm like a punk rock kid at heart, like I never grew out of it. So I've always been like, fuck like fuck these people. I'm not falling in line. But social media is all about getting people to fall in line. Like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the song you get to play. Here's the way we want you to shoot this video. If you want to be seen, stay in line, sheep. It's like it is all about keeping people like in line. And as a creative, when you're like, I just want to share my art with the world. I don't want to fucking have to be an actor or do some stupid fucking sketch comedy skit. Like, I got into art because I'm a fucking tattooer, not because I'm a fucking comedian or an actor or a like I don't want to go on and create all this fucking information that has nothing to do with what I do on a daily basis. That just continually takes me away from work. Like I saw the best thing, a painter. She was like this painter, and she was like, she posted her painting and kind of was like, how fast I finished this when I stopped fucking filming every aspect of the process for this stupid thing. Like because it's like slowed us down, artistically too. Because it's like, I mean, I don't know how people have time to make sketch comp. Like, like I don't know how they have time to do that. Like, and then go do their work.
It's a great
Or maybe
point.
I just don't get it. So, and I suck because I never set up. I know I could probably set up a camera and just film and paint, but then I'm like, I'm just gonna paint. Like, we'll just. But
I was reading something that kind of goes in with what you're saying about like if you tell all of your friends what you're going to do and you get that instant gratitude, it really kind of just hinders the process, and it makes you think, it doesn't put your brain in the same place as if you were to kind of keep it to yourself until the project is finished or your goal is met. So I was curious. So when that went viral, how did that make you feel? Was that something that you could see other artists like striving for, that feeling of, wow, all these people just saw my post or my perspective
well,
or
it's
whatever?
it's what's weird is that I mean, it was probably like 2 weeks ago. I was getting bummed out because I'm like down to like, you know, you spent the early part. I mean, I've been on that goddamn stupid Instagram since it started, literally since it started, like
Yeah.
back when it was just photo editing software. And um, so I built up a decent sized audience on it back then. And then now it's like 35 people might see something I post. And you're like, I built like an audience of like what, several thousand. And now it's like, 43 people or 35 people, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's not even like, I mean, I could go walk to McDonald's and show it to more people. Like, so what's the point? Then I get frustrated. Like, why am I even on this thing? What a shitty. That's bad investment, right? Like, if the reward does not like equal the risk of me having to create the art and put it on there, then it's a bad investment. It's just, and so when we get to these points where you're like getting 100 views or 50 views, is it really even worth it? And I know those people are going to buy anything anyway, you know, rarely. And so it doesn't equate to good marketing or sales anymore, like it used to for a lot of people, but it doesn't anymore.
Yeah,
But I was
reminding
bitching.
people
What's
regularly.
that?
I like reminding people regularly that like Instagram followers and Instagram likes, Facebook likes, those don't pay your bills. Like even if
At
you
all?
do build up a following on the internet, you still have to pay attention to your local community because those are the people that are going to come to you.
Yeah.
You'll occasionally have people travel in, but like if you forget about your local community and spreading your name through your local community by walking to McDonald's or, you've got to kind of make yourself a presence in your local scene. And then what happens there is your online interaction goes up, but they're local people that you've actually seen in real life that can actually come to you with their money that they've earned locally and spend it with you. I think everybody's so concerned with the art of social media and they're concerned with promoting and getting their follows up on social media that they forget that your bread and butter, the people that pay your bills, are still your neighbors. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And like, you've been a tumbleweed enough, I'm sure, to know that that's how it works. Like, you have to announce that you're in an area to the area, not the whole entire world, because they're going to miss it. You need to somehow get your name out locally when you're in a place.
Yeah, and that's super important. I mean, the majority of my clients have always been, and what's interesting, I mean, that I noticed is the majority of my clients were always like the same people. Like I just built a client, like a repeat clientele basis for the most part, you know.
Mhm.
So slowly, new people would trickle in, and then they'd stick with me for a while, but they were always consistent. I mean, because you're building relationships with these people. I did a lot of large scale work, so I was building relationships with these people, and then they come back and want to start their next project. And it is that. I mean, how many of us have like moved? Well, I know for sure. I'll speak from experience. You can move to the other side of town, and you'll have clients that are like, "Dude, that's 20 minutes away. That's like on the other side of the Beltway. I'm not fucking driving there. I don't leave my neighborhood." So if you're not if you're not placating your local audience to some degree, you are missing out because a lot of people aren't traveling to get tattooed. They want to kind of get what's close to them. And now you're competing. I mean, there's good people in every fucking town now. Not like, you know, 30 years ago where they were like, the good people were spotty. And, in order to get really good work, you had to travel.
Yeah.
But
And to both of your points about the like getting out and seeing like local people, like even if you're interested in getting more social media action, like your phone's geolocated. If you go to a bar, it's going to know who you were near. It's going to show your stuff to the people that were around you. You go to the art store, you go to the library, you go to the gym. Like if you're going to different locations, again, it's following you around, and it's going to use all of those signals to distribute, your stuff to. But that said, ultimately, if you're not on that thing fucking, 60 times a day, it's going to end up rewarding people that are on it 60 times a day. And so you really do have to like pick and choose, I guess earlier I was like, I mean, those times where I've taken like, over 6 months, 8 months off completely social media, but then there'd be an opportunity to go to Europe or something that would present itself when I got back on. Right. So it's like, we want to make sure we're aware. I guess ultimately for me to wrap it up, there's two beasts, and we're ultimately in this case there's two. There's like social media, and then there's the search engines, and the search engines are designed to like deliver the best possible result to people who are searching for what they're looking for. And then social media is designed to suck us all in and keep us addicted to it, right? So it's like, sometimes social media will deliver us what we're looking for, but really it's designed to keep us on the hook. Whereas search engines, the very nature of them is designed to deliver people to us that are searching for what we've got, as long as it's good. And I guess ultimately, what you've always had on your side is that you're always doing excellent work, both with your art and your tattoos, but then also working on self-improvement and traveling and learning and meeting new people. And it's well, anyways, and then you also had a really long one. Maybe you were talking about that, where you were outputting like your artistic journey, which was,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you couldn't get any. It felt like you couldn't get any more social media gravity, than something like that, or at least you couldn't do it more authentically.
What about though too, like, if all of us were to look on our phone and track our activity, if I were to spend, some people 2 hours a day even, can you imagine the social credit you'd receive if every single day, instead of opening your Instagram, you connected with a human 60 times a day?
Yeah.
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 Well, that's the hard part for me is that I literally am in a studio painting by
Yeah.
myself. Like, and that's one thing I've kind of realized this year is like, I think my next step, once I figure out what I'm going to do with my family here, is to maybe build a studio, at least a place where I can have some people around or work around more artists, because it's also unhealthy to be alone that much. Like, you don't have people to bounce ideas off of, or it's like you're constantly just feeding yourself,
Hmm.
and and it can be dangerous too, especially because someone like myself, I can get deep in my own thoughts and be like, oh, this am I even doing anything worthwhile anymore? Like,
So if someone were to call you, someone watching, or any of the many, many, many people that you've engaged with, and they call you and say, "Hey, Gunnar, I'd love for you to come out to my shop, do a guest spot," is that something you still kind of do, or more focused on your painting?
no, actually, this year I'm actually like, I'm doing three. We'll be doing the Paradise Tattoo Gathering this year, and then I'm doing the Richmond Tattoo Convention, and I'm doing Grand Rapids. Like, I'm trying,
Mm.
and then I do middle of the map. I'm be out there for that one in Iowa. Uh, and then I'm hoping to go do more guest spots. Now, the hard part about, like, I haven't been tattooing much here in Connecticut, so I don't know if I'm going to keep trying to find a shop here, if I'm just going to go on the road for that purpose and just kind of go tattoo, because I learn more when I'm around, like, the more people I'm around, the more, I can take in and learn. And even though I'm about to hit 50, I'm like, I feel like I'm so young artistically that I'm like still very hungry, so I want to get out and keep growing and stuff. And so this year was cool. I got to really focus on my paintings and stuff. I'd like to kind of be able to focus more on tattoo, like, balance them. But I'd like to get out and do some focusing on that world too. And so yeah, I'm hoping to get out, and and I do a lot of teaching, so I'm hoping to get to do more like teaching stuff. Like, I've done quite a few presentations and seminars and workshops over the last 20 years. So I'd like to kind of do those, or even in more like personal environments. But I'm not
Hey,
very like tech savvy, so I don't do. It probably would behoove me to do like these type of things, but I'm not probably ever gonna. You got to know yourself. So it's like, I don't know if I'll ever get around to doing like, Zoom classes or anything like that.
hey,
But
speaking of fun techie tricks, I do actually have a QR code here. So I don't know if you could see it, but it's popping up for the stream. So if anybody wants to go straight to the Paradise seminar, they could just click the QR code right now. I don't know if you could see it. I could see it.
yeah,
Do you
yep,
want, do
came
you,
up on mine.
do you want to chat a little bit about the Paradise? You have 3 days, but people could take it for 1, 2, or 3 days. It seems.
Yeah, I tried to. So I did a 3-day workshop. You can, if you like, people want to, they can go to the Instagram, Art of Gunner at Instagram, where I just did a little video for you guys. It might be on your Paradise Instagram too, which kind of has, I like kind of wrote out what the days are a little too.
Awesome.
And I'll send that information to you too to update. But yeah, so I decided I'm doing an oil painting seminar. It's 3 days because it's so much information. So the first day is going to cover like materials, what they are, what they do, like why we use things the way we use them. The second day, we're going to get into the foundational aspects. So it'll be like, priming the canvas or priming your panels or whatever, transferring drawings, and then various under like stages or like early stages of creating a painting. And then the last day will be more like complex stuff, like different like advanced techniques and stuff you can only do after like if you're doing layered paintings. So it'll have like different stuff on that, all the way out to the varnish. So it's essentially the full everything you need to know from beginning to end, but it's too much to do like in a single thing. So, you know, if someone's like, hey, I already know about the tools, you know, I skip that. I just want to learn about like more the painting process. I did that just because there's other seminars running and I didn't want to like conflict with someone who might want to take another course. But like, I highly suggest people take the whole thing because there's so much like I packed in a lot of information. I'm trying to currently work on like an ebook for people so they can have like quick notes to get back to it, you know, because it's a lot to like remember, but it's like a very you know, you have to experience it type of thing. So when I'll be doing demos and then I'll like show people how to do it. That way I can sit with people and, you know, because there's certain things that like people, you know, it's like you can watch YouTube videos, but it's like, if you don't know what the pressure of the brush is supposed to be, like, it's like tattooing. It's like you can watch all the goddamn videos, but if someone doesn't tell you like what you're supposed to be feeling when the machine hits the skin, and I tried to equate it to like tattooing. So when I talk about certain brushes or things like, you know, I'll be talking of like making comparisons so that people who are tattooers will understand, you know, they'll be able to make the correlation. That way you can take it back and forth with you. You can use that in both sides of painting and tattooing. But yeah, so anyways, I thought that the 3 days was necessary. It's a lot of information. And it's not like I'm not teaching you how to just do it. You're not going to leave with a painting. Like you won't leave with a finished painting. You'll leave with a lot of knowledge on how to go paint the type of stuff you want to paint. Like, so it's just straight information on how to like create a painting and like what it all means. And that way, if you do go watch the YouTube videos, all the stuff might make more sense for you. If you like have artists you follow, like some of the stuff like from there will click and you'll be like, okay, like now I get like a little bit more why they're doing what they're doing. So yeah, awesome. That's what we're doing. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this.
It's it's going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun week. To your point, I think it's 3 hours is what we have scheduled, and I have it set so it's the same time. So people that do take all 3 days, there's going to be plenty of opportunity to take anything, you know, other things that they would want to. And people are registering now. The schedule is up, so it's and somebody actually clicked the it looks like 3 people clicked that QR code. I don't know if they click add to basket, but it's kind of fun to see that working.
See that it's working, huh?
Yeah. Well,
technology.
But awesome. So then, and then are you going to be? How are you participating in Richmond? Or are you teaching? Are you?
I'll be painting. I'm painting there as well. I don't know what Jesse and I had discussed. It was kind of more of a like, hey, I want to come down and hang out with you guys. What can we do? Type of thing. And then I told him wasn't sure. I wasn't like tattooing frequently enough here to want to like tattoo in a large, crowded environment right now. So,
sure.
So anyways, I was probably going to go paint and sell prints and stuff, and hang out with my friends and socialize them. So,
yeah. Very fun. Awesome. Well, we have 10 minutes before the hour is up. So I just wanted to put that out there so we could catch up on any last minute topics that we have. And what are you listening to these days or reading? I think you always have a steady diet of evolving content. No?
Oh yeah, you know what and I do, and I'm like constantly. I like read like 6 books at the same time because I'm just ADD or whatever the hell whatever is wrong with my brain that makes me have to like digest way too much at the same time. I'm actually reading a book on on the enlightened path, about the path. I don't know. It's like a Buddhist book that I thought might be kind of good. It's just about like enjoying the journey, rather than like trying to get to the destination type of thing. And then I started like listening to some business and marketing books because I really suck at that part of my career.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of delved into like trying to study, put in the same type of study I do with artistic techniques so I figured I'd buckle down and try and get some business and marketing knowledge in where I could. Music wise, I don't know. It's either like hip hop that's kind of sounds like 90s ish hip hop, but it could be modern hip hop, but it's got to
Uh-huh.
like sound like not like the new stuff. Got to sound a little older. And I like folk music a lot. Like it just depends on what my mood is and what I'm painting. I tend to like set my scene with the music, so like it matches whatever the work I'm doing is. So, um, so right now it's been kind of I've been doing these like landscape caverns, and they're very serene, so the
Mm.
music's been a little bit more mellow. When I did the dystopian stuff, it was definitely a little like more punkish. It was like no effects, like
Mhm.
the idiots are taking over the world type.
Literally as
More
we
like
speak.
yeah. So it's a little bit more like that type of stuff. So yeah, it's all over. I listen
Okay.
to like
Yeah.
everything. I'm like all over the place musically.
Nice. Do
Like
you
I said,
ever?
everything I do is like a little bit all over the place.
Did you get to explore caverns to take reference photos and such, or?
I've been through a few of them. I actually just posted a picture. I got to do one. I think it's called the Aztec Cavern out in
Hmm.
Texas, maybe. Um, but I did that a few years ago. I got to go out there and visit one of my friends, and she took me to a sweat lodge, and then we went to this cavern. It was really
Oh,
cool.
amazing! I,
Yeah, it was a neat experience.
you artists have me trained. I was sitting in my bed and I was looking at two pictures of House Caverns, probably like 3 hours from you. It's like in New York.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, God damn, they're probably 4 years apart. But the camera did not shift at all. And I'm looking at like the different highlights on the stalagmites, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, it's literally the same. It's just like, and I'm thinking, like, well, I guess if you're in a cavern, you have a really controlled environment. So if there was ever a place to do like a time lapse, it would be, you know, 500 feet underground or whatever. Anyways, I was just thinking of the caverns, and it'd be fun to do a cavern reference trip with people.
yeah. If I could, yeah, and I need to do that too. I need to start doing more like painting in environments, but normally it's just so much work to like pack up and get out, and I'm like, I'll just stay in today, and then
Yeah. I don't mean to hug anything, but this inspiring tour this last spring, we were up in New Hampshire and we were doing plein air. Nick Baxter and Sean Barber were leading plein air, and Nick had us like halfway up a mountain, halfway up the side of a mountain that was like all ice, and it wasn't all ice, excuse me. It was like 60% ice in patches, so like you could hop from like patch to patch, and
yeah.
we had the cameras out, and but it was pretty awesome. But then a fucking bird flies around and hops right onto Sean Barber's easel, and it's like looking at him. Sean's like, "Oh shit!" and he's got his camera up, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then the bird kamikazes him, hits him in the chest, and then flies off, and he's got it all on tape. It was crazy.
Oh man,
But
yeah, that
sometimes
sounds pretty awesome. Nick's
it's worth
doing
getting out there.
he's doing a plein air
Yeah.
thing at the Paradise, isn't he?
And yeah, Nico. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And it'll be much warmer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll be pretty cool. That's
But
exciting. So
fun. Sweet.
yeah, it can be a little risky out in some of those places. I watched some people paint in some scary ass places, or mosquitoes and bugs, and I don't know. It's been a little too hot this summer for me to be getting outside and just trying to. It's like I painted once. I did that once at what's that, Red Rocks in Colorado. I
Mhm.
went and
Oh
painted
yeah.
when I drove. I like did this drive cross country and was like painting at all these places and visiting all these places, and my paints were melting down my palette. It was like 170 degrees on the palette. Like the
Whoa.
yeah, the what's it called? One of the security people or whatever police that like patrol the area. She had this like little thermometer thing, and she like put it on my palette, and it was like I forget. I mean, it was like something like that. It was like 135 or 155. It was like super friggin' hot, and I was like, yeah, maybe I think I'm done for the day. Like this is
Yeah.
too much.
No.
So
No. Yeah. I mean, one of the main things I see that stops illustrators or painters or fine artists, the crew of non-tattoo artists that have already been accomplished to coming into tattooing, is how inconvenient it is to like work with clients who have budgets and squirm and talk.
oh yeah,
when they're so used to 6 hours from 9 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the morning, listening to what they want to, thinking about what they want to, tattooing's a completely different beast in that regard.
That's what that like for me is huge because, I always have people that were like, what got you into painting or whatever. And it was always kind of the inconvenience of not being able to like have an outlet when the creativity struck. I mean, I was doing like color pencils and stuff, but to me, that stuff isn't necessarily as like archival, and as the painting was. So, and now that's what's been awesome is I literally can create whatever I feel like whenever I want. Like I'm not like bound to someone's idea. I'm not bound to their budget. It's like just do what I want when I want, and like I could wake up at 5 a.m. This morning I actually got up at like 4:30. I think it was like 4:30, and I just couldn't fall back asleep. So I'm like, well, I guess it's paint time, and then I just went to the studio and painted for a few hours till I got tired again, and so. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You can't do that with I can't call you at like, hey, it's 5 a.m. You want to meet me at the studio?
Get tattooed? Well, you could call me. I probably would. I'm up that early. But so my last question though is about this. So now that you've done this phase where you're unhindered creativity, do you think that there's a happy medium that you'll be able to find? I mean, everyone's different, but like could you do this for 2 months a year and then tattoo for 10 months so that you're somewhat constrained or getting ideas from clients for 10 months, but then you have 2 months of unbridled creativity? Is there any way to mix it? Would you be able to like have 1 day a week just to go wild with your imagination, or is it that extended period of time that allowed you to get where you're
well it's funny, I was like, my new joke is I love making art, but I really love making a living, and it's been that has definitely been weighing on me this year, where I'm like, fuck man, I do like, this is a job. I'm not like a hobbyist. I've been a professional artist. And I've been in creative mode, so I haven't been in like sales. Like that comes up when I do the conventions, and then I'll have all the art to sell and all the merchandise and stuff. So I do think there is like a little bit of a sow and reap system that has to take place, like where you where I do need to buckle down and create, and then go release it and make the money and stuff. I mean, ideally, if I got this system down, then I would probably be living in like Costa Rica or somewhere else, and then I would sell my art back, somewhere else, and then go back there and live there for, whether it's like 6 months somewhere else and 6 months here. Like, I mean, that would be ideal. America's a fucking mess right now. So it's like, I wouldn't mind. I feel like I might be inspired somewhere else a little bit more, like the jungles of Peru or something. But, I think there's probably a system there. I don't know. I'm trying to navigate where I'm at currently, because like I said, it's all life unfolds, and you just adapt you adapt and you just keep pushing forward. So this year will be like I sat and I made a lot of art. Now I have a lot of merchandise. So now, like when I go out, this year should be like a really good, kind of a good year for me. So. And then maybe I'll take some time off once that like has some time to settle and come back and create again. So,
sweet.
I don't know. I kind of play it by day these days, Gabe.
Hey, after 50, every year's a bonus year. Really, frankly, it's like, oh shit.
Dude, we're not that old, man. Calm the fuck down. Like, we are not that. Maybe if this was like 1820s, we were that old. But
no, fair enough. It's, and the health extension, the scientists are doing pretty great. Watched a couple of people, get past
both my grandparents lived into their mid 90s, so I know I still got at least a 40 something.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know that, but there's at least 40 years ahead of me, and that shit looks like long too. So I'm not even. I don't know if I might be good with. It depends on what my body's doing. Like if I'm like able to still have fun and enjoy life, then I'll be like, fuck. Let's go 90. Let's go 100.
From what I could tell, that is one of the main ingredients of the life extension or life health studies, is that when people feel like they have something to live for, they have a community of people around them that actually give a shit, and they want to do stuff.
There's a show on Netflix right now, the Blue Zones, 100-year life, the Blue Zones. I'm all for it. I'm trying to study what some of these folks are doing.
Nice.
Community was one. What's that?
I want to hear what the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe has to say about it. That's whenever I see the Netflix specials, I'm like, okay, what do the skeptics have to say?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. There's enough There's enough of
We'll
that.
find out. We'll find out next Saturday at noon.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Well, I'm done. Thanks again for coming out. Oh, I didn't have. Oh, goddamn! I have one other question. I'm sorry, but we're almost done. But I want to hear the story about when you very first met Derb.
When I very first
The
met
very
him,
first meeting. Yeah. What was your first impression in meeting when you met Derb? What was the situation? Paint the picture here, if you remember.
oh, I met Derb. I was doing a guest spot. I came out to Ohio. I was working at Darkside. Was I working at Darkside at the time? I might have been working at Darkside at the time.
Wait, what year? So this is 90s.
97 or 98 or 98 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I graduated college in 98. I moved to Ohio like shortly after, like real quick. But I went out there and we did a guest spot out there. Eric had set up a guest spot. I kind of was tagging along. He was a little bit more well known than I was at that time. And so I went out with him, tagged along with him, and we drove out there. And then I don't remember. Hoffa was there, and I think Phil was there back then, and this Angela Nallis. There was a couple guys there.
Yeah, Phil Holt. I love Phil Holt. Phil's great.
Yeah, and I think that we might have went and drank at a tiki bar, and I might have climbed up the side of the tiki bar. It's not there anymore. It was like a historic place. They tore it down. I forget what the Kahiki. I forget what it was called, but it had like a roof like this.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was like pretty rowdy. We were young, like punk
Wicked
kids.
young.
Like we were young punk kids, so we probably got in trouble together, and we hit it off really well. I mean, like I said, I moved out there shortly after. I really enjoyed it and went out pretty quick. I think I was out there like 6 months later, maybe, or something.
Sure. I remember hearing those stories right from the dark, from the dark side. I was hanging out there just as a computer geek, and so I'd hear the stories coming back from Columbus and Hill City, and did we lose? I think we lost everybody. So I guess we're signing off here. It's 11 o'clock officially, or 12 o'clock officially. Well, hey, thanks again. I'm going to flash up the QR code here for your demystifying oil painting for tattooers. So if anybody's interested in catching it live, we don't have plans to webcast it as far as I know. If you have enough interest, I'm happy to entertain the notion. But so far, let's everyone's invited to come out and join you in person. And then
that'd be great.
What's your official? Do you have an official sign off? Now's your official sign off. I'm Gunnar. You can find me at. Oh shit! You're in the middle of nowhere painting.
Yeah, nowhere. I mean, you can find me. I mean, just Instagram, Art of Gunnar, and yeah, that's about it. That's probably about it right now.
Perfect.
I don't have I don't have an official. You can find me at Paradise. How about that?
Fantastic. But people should go there. Yeah. They could buy your paintings. They could buy your prints, and eventually they'll be able to get tattooed by you again. But
yeah, now, by 2024. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again for hopping on. And we know it's Monday morning, but I guess if you're up at 5, I'm up or 4 or 5. I'm up at 4 or 5. It's not that early, but anyways, have fun, and we'll catch up in the future, man. Very soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.